Rochelle's actually going to step out.
What's that? Yep. And when I said we, I was kind of over classifying as you. Okay, I think we are set. I think I'm on. I would like to call the meeting of Tuesday, April 15th to order, and we will start by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance if you choose. Sorry. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to ask for just a bit of indulgence as you might be able to tell I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get through this. We will start, here's something good. I will start with, Chair would entertain a motion for an approval of our agenda with suggested motions and resolutions. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Stark, seconded by Jones. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next up on our agenda, we have our superintendent's report from Dr. Lewis. I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Lewis.
Thank you, Chair. It's my absolute delight to showcase for you. Last week, we shouted out and celebrated our assistant principals. So we are absolutely delighted. You saw profiles of them and celebrations on our social media, and that trended so much. So it was so exciting. So we have Abby Jensen at RLS, and she is described as well-balanced. We have Greg Beek at Hayes. Abby is not new to Fridley Public Schools, but she's new to the role. Greg is new to Fridley Public Schools, so we love having him, and he's described as knowledgeable. Then we have Matt Engelhart at Fridley Middle School. Relationship focused is his descriptor. Then we have Carrie Verachek at our ALC, described as tenacious. Limey Zarley at Fridley High School, who is described as hardworking. And last week, he was also celebrated in DC because he is the Minnesota State Assistant Principal of the Year. So that was fantastic to have him also be celebrated. And then we have Afalabi Runshaway, who is new to our district at Fridley Community Center as an advocate. So it's my absolute pleasure to celebrate our APs, and it's been just a phenomenal experience to have the APs at the elementaries now. Our principals are able to be doing much more that instructional leadership and the relationships that our APs have with all of our students, staff, and families is just phenomenal. So it's a pleasure to celebrate them with you tonight. Next, I am going to call up Matt Hammer to share with our board about the pre-sale report for building bonds, and Matt is with our financial advisor, Ellers. Thanks, Matt.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Lewis, Matthew Hammer, District's financial advisor, and I'm here just to share an update on where we're at with the process from the voter-approved projects that were approved by voters last November. And as part of that process, when we look back, those projects were not going to have a tax impact for voters, and we've been managing that process along the way. Right now, we're in the midst of getting ready to start the sale process, and we're assuming we're going to be closing on those bonds at the beginning of June. So the district's going to undertake a process like we did last spring in regards to going through a rating process, doing due diligence, and then authorizing the issuance and award of those bonds at the meeting at May 20th. Overall, those levies were authorized by the board as part of that part of the final levy process last December, and everything is on track to align right with the plans prior to their referendum, so we're in good shape. From an interest perspective, the market has been fairly volatile, but I will say in the tax-exempt bond space, we're still seeing demand for bonds like the district will be selling here in May, and interest rates are still in line with where our assumptions were, so we're in good shape. So with that, I can answer any questions the board has. Really, tonight is just the purpose of tonight is to give folks an update. We're going to be issuing part of that issuance, about 14.5 million, which is in line with the plans that we had prior to the election.
Any questions for Matt?
Yeah, Chair.
Yep, go
Just
for it.
one, I don't even know if this question is answerable, Matt, but with the recent volatility in the markets that even started to affect the U.S. markets, does the U.S. Treasury volatility affect investors' opinions of these kinds of bonds, either making them more or less attractive?
Yeah, I think volatility as a whole impacts the markets, right? When there is uncertainty, that impacts market conditions and people's willingness to put their money to work, right, and not keep it on the sidelines. So we saw that specifically last week, especially, right, with the volatility that we're seeing in the market, and interest rates were moving up and down within the week pretty considerably. I will say that we're going to monitor that right over the next month, and if for some reason we're seeing conditions change in any way, we would likely postpone the sale going into the sales process. But right now, from week to week, from day to day, right, there's some volatility, so we've got to be kind of positioned from that perspective as we go forward over the next month. But you're 100% right. Investors are kind of trying to figure out what's going to happen day to day right now.
Anybody else?
Yep.
Sorry.
I really appreciate the responsibility that our community has given us with their tax dollars to invest in our schools, and I know that we've been really strategic with being really responsibly managing that. Can you just kind of remind us, I know, like, why are we selling in two chunks, and kind of those different parts of how does that help us to manage and manage responsibly our community's funds?
Yeah, so the district's debt service levy was set to drop in taxes payable 28. And as part of this process, if we were to issue all of the bonds, we'd have interest costs that would have created a tax increase, right? So from the standpoint of timing, we were always planning on a multi-phase approach, partly because you can't get every project done, right, in one summer either. So we call it the summer slam in the school environment, right, that you've got a 3-month window to get projects done. And really what we're looking at is there was a design phase that the district's going through after the project was approved. The summer of 26 is going to have a smaller portion of the projects completed. Some additional projects are planned, like was presented in March, right, where the summer of 27 will have some additional projects that'll get done. And then from a timing perspective, because we were trying to manage the tax impact to the property owners in the school district and the voters, the second phase of issuance will happen early in 27, and that happens to align with where the district's debt service levy is scheduled to drop, right? And we're replacing that levy with a new levy at that time. So this planning process, it kind of actually dates back to 2015, and when the district was doing planning for their long-term capital plan, and that long-term capital plan is kind of in place now again based on where we're at today when we look out another 8 to 10 years as the district manages their long-term capital and facilities plan. So really, right, the process is two-stage, right? One, we're trying to manage the levy like we communicated to voters so that we didn't create any impact on the voters. And two, it was to align with the construction schedule, partly because we don't need to be paying interest on bonds when we don't need the money, but also to try to manage the taxes for the property owners as well.
Perfect. I really appreciate that. Thank you, and helping us. I appreciate your partnership in helping us to steward those finances really well. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully we get off to a good start here in May, right? And,
Yep.
then we can breathe a little easier.
Certainly looking forward to it. Any other questions for Matt? No? Awesome. Thanks as usual, Matt. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
we'll see you next month.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Matt. Much appreciated. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Karen Beckstrand, who is our Preschool IB PYP coordinator, and she's going to share with us about the IB Preschool Pre-Authorization. Welcome, Karen. Good to see you.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, Dr.
Turn the mic on.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Lewis, School Board Chair, and School Board members. It's my honor and privilege to be here tonight speaking to you on behalf of the Fridley Preschool self-study journey that we have embarked on this year. As many of you know, as a World Authorized School, every 5 years we need to embark on the self-study, which is basically an opportunity for staff, students, our community to reflect on how we are doing implementing the IB program standards and practices. During this reflection time, we look at the entire core tenets of the IB, as well as our own work with our planners and our instructional methods and best practices, and our impact on our student learning and achievement. So as you can see before you, the IB coordinators a few years ago created these slides to kind of help explain it. So it's the what, it's the whole child learning. And then we go to the why, and the big focus there is, of course, the global citizenship, the multiple perspectives, and of course the second language, and then the service and action. And then the third is the how, which is the collection of effective and engaging teaching practices. And here at the Fridley Preschool, the big focus of that is, of course, on our play-based and our inquiry-based learning. So, as you can see, Fridley is an IB for all school and the only E12 continuum district in the state of Minnesota, and one of 13 in the nation, which we're very proud of. And just a few other little facts that you can see about us as a whole IB continuum district. So what is self-study? Self-study is, like I had said, taking a look, and there you can see the timeline. Our data submission, our document submission is due June 15th. Our self-study is due September. We're doing goal setting. We have engaged already throughout the course of this year a lot of the self-study materials. And then, of course, you can see the stakeholders, with the school board being one of those. Part of this is, of course, that there is a close alignment between the IB mission statement and the Fridley Public Schools mission statement. So I just wanted to put those up there for you to, again, have as a reference. So in 2020, when the Fridley Preschool was authorized, we were authorized underneath the old program standards and practices. So now we're into the new program standards and practices, which you, of course, can see there before you, with learning being at the heart of everything, and then surrounded by the other tenets of purpose, environment, and culture. And that's what generates the self-study. We take a look at all of the standards and practices in those 4 core areas. So this is the one that is before the board to look at, that the governing body and school leaders articulate a purpose for learning that aligns with the IB's philosophy and mission, and that this standard shows up for us in Fridley Public Schools, and that I will be asking you to please respectfully reflect on this when I send some more information via Lori to you. And what we're looking for is, how do you feel as a board and school leaders about that purpose? Is it highly developed? Is it developed, or are we developing it? And I just wanted to share with you some things that have come to light from our self-study that we have engaged in already. So some of the key components and accomplishments, we actually were authorized during the middle of the global pandemic in 2020. We had, of course, the federal grant at the time, which allowed us to really focus on equitable things in our classrooms for all of our students. And then really focusing on those 4 core components of the early years, which is the play, the relationships, the learning environment, and that symbolic exploration and expression. Challenges that have come up from some of our staff and from our leadership have been, of course, COVID, but then when we had to pivot through all of the distance learning models or having to close classrooms. And then this actually came out of the letters. I kind of wanted to highlight this because I found it interesting through our letters training that we're doing with the READ Act, is that we're seeing students that were affected by the fact that they were born into, and those early speech skills were maybe affected due to having to wear masks and isolation. So that was a really interesting fact that we discussed as a group in one of our letters trainings. And then where are we going? Really starting to dig into data literacy, using our data to drive best practices. And also, the past summer, the IB launched the new transdisciplinary themes, which are a little bit more broad, a little bit more open. So we're looking to implement those. We, of course, are working on our pyramid model, which is our early years childhood PBIS, to bring us in line with the rest of the district. And then just our continued work and refinement of bridging our preschool to our kindergarten as we as our students move up into there. And then, of course, just the continued alignment to the mission and vision of Fridley Public Schools as led by Dr. Lewis and the school board. So our next steps, as you can see, are to continue to develop our planners, deepen our data literacy knowledge, and just like I had said, to continue all of the system alignment. Invitations will also be sent to you as a board through the proper channels for our October visit, which is on the 27th and 28th, for you to meet with our evaluators as well. And then, of course, moving forward, if there are any matters to be addressed, that becomes our next 5-year action plan. And that's all I have for you. Thank you.
I just really like that you pointed out the mask thing. I was just holding my friend's premature baby and wearing a mask, and you do all the things. You make the faces, and you coo, and you smile, and you make the eye contact. And instead, you know, my face is covered, and he just stared at me with those big, beautiful blue eyes. And so it's really important, I think, to remember that and address that. So thank you for mentioning that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Karen.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I just thank you so much? I got to be one of your parents in your last study, so that's so exciting in your initial authorization, and seeing all the work that's happened and continuing to happen in that. I do continue to agree that IB allows us to have great framework for teaching for our students, to ensure that our teachers are using best practices. And I just really appreciate that, and I see that our teachers are working so hard to make sure that our students have the very best start. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Karen.
Absolute delight to introduce Alota Sims, our Equity and Inclusion Coordinator, who will be presenting on our equity framework alignment. Alota has been working very hard on this, and I have been every month. Are you ready? Are you ready? Because I'm so excited for our board to see it. So, Alota, I'm so proud of you and the work that you're doing. Seriously, you're really moving the work forward here in Fridley Public Schools, and I thank you as superintendent and as a mom. I'm also delighted to have Rochelle there alongside Alota, so go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to frame up Alota's amazing work with our strategic plan. I think that's really important as we start to talk about things and as we start to implement our strategic plan over the next 3 years. So this is really focused on engagement, which is one of the big focus areas of our strategic plan, and our direction number 4 of inclusiveness and engagement. So tonight I get the honor of sitting with Alota while she talks about the equity and inclusion framework, the practices that we talk about, and our data focus. Alota, I'll turn over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Superintendent, Board Chair, and Board members. Thank you so much. Today, what I'm going to do is share with you guys our Inclusive Excellence Framework. This will also be part of our core elements of purpose, shared collective responsibility, and pathways. This framework will be our map, our guide to inclusive and equity growth within our district. As you can see here, I don't want to read it all out, but this framework also includes every stakeholder within our district. It includes board members, superintendent, it includes our students, and it also includes our staff and administration. The reason why this was very important to me that I include our stakeholders is because this is all of our collective contribution to this equity framework, right? This is just not one department. It is not one person. We all have to share in this collective vision together. And so as you can see here, we have 6 pillars. The 6 pillars are our vision. We want to make sure that we have a vision so that our students can be successful. Attached to our 6 pillars will be a core initiative plan here. These initiative plans are part of our shared collective responsibility. And when we say shared collective responsibilities, as you can see here, we have stability, right? We have our IB coordinators. We have our active listening, our belonging, our inclusive, our culture. This is all of our work. and we are inviting everyone to join and partake in our framework. Right now, when we think about shared collective and our pillars, it's our guided plan, our focus, our direction. It ensures consistency and our equity and inclusion, which is very, very important to us. Along the way, we also want to make sure that the work is also our students, our collective goal, right? We want to make sure our students and their trajectory is very successful. And so a framework also guides us, it gives us vision, and it anchors us. It anchors us to make sure that our inclusive data focus can also show improvement in our reading and our math. It also makes sure that our equity is anchored in inclusiveness, where all cultures are being valued within our district. But it also grounds us on our foundation of IB, AVID, right? It also grounds us on our literacy. So this is what our framework is attached to, our vision, our growth, and making sure that the tax money of our community is going in the right place, in the right places, so that we can all be successful as a community. The next pillar is also accessible opportunities. What do our students need? Where are our resources going? How are we making sure that every student has access within our framework? Inclusive culture. We've all been to, Hayes just had a wonderful culture fashion show. We already are hitting on this pillar. How can we continue to build on this inclusive culture pillar? Equity practices. Equity practices are things that we are already doing now. When we do our when we do our leadership trainings, when we're coming here talking, when our superintendent is on Carrie Levin, highly promoting our equity and inclusion. This is what our framework is about. This is our anchor. Equity is not just a name. It's what we are doing. Is what we are actively doing. With your help, board members, and you're moving a pathway forward, our superintendent, our leaders in our district, we are equity and we are intentional. And we're gonna do this with fidelity. And with this framework, as we continue to dive deeper in the strategic plan that Rochelle just talked about, we're gonna see equity come alive in our district. We're doing it. And it's here. And we have the pillars, we have the core purpose, shared collective pathway to moving forward. We are moving the work, and we are here to continue to make sure that our students' trajectory will be successful. That's all I have. Any questions for me? Yes, you do have me, and I love this work. So I thank you guys all so much for allowing me to be here today and just sharing this collective work.
Any questions for Laura?
I just find it really inspiring and really motivating. And every time, we're able to work together, whether we're handing out backpacks or just, interacting like this, it's always so wonderful. I hate to think about my 3-year-old growing up any faster than he already is, but knowing that he's going to be coming into a community that is rooted in this foundation is really powerful.
Thank you so much, Ivana. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Thank you, Loda.
All right, thank you, Laura.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you.
You need to sit there for a little longer.
Yeah. Talk about the van, man.
Okay.
So
Don't leave me.
I met Aloda during my interview process, and she kept thinking I was talking about her when I would say Loda. So Lotana is my daughter, but I call her Loda. And Aloda, sometimes your family calls you Loda. So I just want to say, Aloda, that I knew from the moment I met you during that interview process, team. I just want to let you know, Aloda was in that room when the consultant fell off the chair. And so that was really dynamic interview time. And she also helped to get the consultant up, which was great. But Aloda, I've always felt that your value in this district is finally realized. And I'm so proud of you. And I remember last year when I said to you, my first year, I said, I want you to come up and talk at our kickoff. And you were like, okay, and you did amazing. And the work that you're doing is literally changing the trajectories of students' lives here, including my own children. And I'm so proud of the work that you do. I do also want to say that I'm a little bit frustrated with you, and I'm going to call you out publicly because we had this whole thing about I'm nervous to present. I don't know how to present well. You've lied to me, and I can tell. So,
It depends on who I've been.
well, clearly this is the right audience.
Right.
Jokes aside, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so
Thanks for your
much. I
amazing work.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Aloda. Next, I'm so excited to have Rochelle talk to us about several items, including transportation, construction, restrooms, play features, athletic projects, flooring projects. I think I got them all. Go ahead.
You did. So first of all, wow, going after Aloda, not great on the agenda for me, but thanks for staying up here with me. It's great partying her, and we're also dorm mates. We also sit next to each other, so that's really a fun thing for me also. So first of all, I want to introduce you to our newest transportation team member. This is Betty, which you see her in the picture. Betty is our new 9-passenger van that we have purchased. Betty is going to really help us lower costs on some of our busing for our smaller athletic teams, for when our teams of our staff might go to a professional development or need a ride to the airport. It will also help us transport students who might need some extra care after school, after a athletic practice, or even during the day. We can also transport parents. So a multifunctional use. We're really excited to welcome her to our fleet. Yes, and another welcome to Johnny Robertson, who you see in the picture here. Johnny is our new transportation coordinator. I love the graphics of this. Thank you, Lori. That is amazing. Johnny joined us very recently. As you know, board, that that CISO right now does all of our transportation across the board. Starting on July 1st, CISO will manage the Northwest Suburban District transportation, but Fridley will take over transportation of our students in our school district. So Johnny is leading the way on that way. I will say the transition is going really well, and we're just excited to have this opportunity to serve our community in a different way. Right now, before you tonight will be three-year contracts with 3 different companies. We have been negotiating over the last probably month for student transportation, and those are rates of increases, 5%, 4%, 4%. I will say that while I was told that the rates that we were originally given were good and market value, our superintendent has a much harder deal. So I have been honing my negotiation skills, and happy to say that we got a much better deal than we started with all 3 companies. While Halo Transportation here says we're still negotiating at 3 o'clock today, we sealed this one at 5%, 4%, and 4% also. And then Collaborative Student Transportation, they will be really our flexible, because we're still figuring out with how many vans we'll need. We know that they'll fluctuate. We have some plans for some transportation options in the future. So we're really flexible with them, and they'll have a 4% increase every year. Our focus areas for our collaborations with these companies is having a really stable GPS system in place, and that parent communication remains robust and improves in some areas. Also, we want to reduce our late buses. We've been tracking those, but we really need to reduce that so our students are arriving to school on time. And then also having reliable videos. So when there is an incident on our buses, we're able to get that video in an appropriate amount of time and have good quality. So those are our areas, and the transportation contracts you'll see above you.
Can you talk about where the contracts started?
Yes, I sure can. So the contract started in the 9%, 966 range. So you can see we came down quite considerably. So, and that was, of course, our superintendent's leadership. Johnny did a lot of the negotiating, and I was the middle person just holding the line. So we appreciate our partnership with them, and we appreciate them negotiating a fair and good deal for us. Construction project updates. You'll see some contracts before you tonight. I just want to review those. We have a restroom remodel that's happening that's going to be starting once we sign the contract. This is for a bathroom location in our high school. It's a location that services our gymnasium, our auditorium, and is just a hallway access for our students who also can utilize these bathrooms. So we're upgrading this to a single-user restroom. So there'll be 6 single-use stalls, and then also a shared place to wash hands in kind of a more open environment. This restroom remodel will really be kind of the model for the future that we'll use at other sites as we begin to remodel our other restrooms. So we'll be starting on this project summer of 2025. Summer of 2025 will also be updating our FCC or Fridley Community Center play structures. Our current playground there was built in the 2000s, and our playgrounds typically have a life of 20 years. So it's time to upgrade. We're going to be looking at the ground services. We're going to be looking to make sure that the equipment is developmentally and age appropriate for the students who utilize it. We want to make sure that there's a lot of inclusive features so that both our community as well as our students can utilize it, and then make sure that we're upgrading some safety features also for our students. Our next projects start to go into summer of 2026 that you're looking at contracts for tonight. And you might be saying, wow, that's early. Why are we doing that so early? But really what this does by signing the contract, it allows us to work with the architects and do the planning purposes so that we're not rushed. We'll want to start ordering things and getting bids out probably in the February timeline. So this gives us a nice chunk of time to do all the beginning work and of the interior design and outside too. So our first project is a Fridley Middle School. So summer of 2026, Fridley Middle School is going to be invaded with construction. So we probably won't have any programming happening there. We'll probably move it all to the high school. We'll be looking at tuck pointing, which is the exterior, and fixing our brick and mortar. We'll be looking at partial roof replacement. We'll be doing a targeted window replacement, targeted classroom renovations, including asbestos removal, finishes, electrical upgrades, and then we'll be doing a large locker room remodel. This will include creating extra storage and classroom space, creating a family locker room space, creating single-user bathrooms. So again, we'll be taking that model that we're doing here and incorporating it there, and then remodeling the current student use locker room facilities. This will also include on here, you'll see on the project, but this will also be finishing the pool, which we're really excited about too. We've done a lot of mechanicals. The pool actually got drained a couple weeks ago. It's filled back up, and this week we've been working on getting the chemical balances and the training for our staff on that. The FMS projects will, like I said, we're really looking at this as an opportunity to involve our community. So we'll be doing a lot of engagement with our middle school parents, students, and staff to look at things that they can help us make decisions on for this project. As you see, it's not a total replacement. Let's remember that the referendum is only paying for partially of a lot of projects that we need to do. So we're going to be really targeted and focused on what we're doing. We'll also be doing some athletic projects summer of 2026. Our sports field scoreboard, we're upgrading to an LED, and also hoping to have revenue potential for that and being able to do advertisements. I don't know if you've ever driven by, but sometimes I'll drive by and suddenly the board will just light up. It's a little eerie, isn't it? Yeah, so we need to get that fixed. We'll also be doing a total demolition of our sports field track and make it competition ready, which I'm really excited about for us to be able to host some true meets and finals at Fridley Public Schools where it should be. And then also we'll be looking at the field turf, and right now we'll be starting the process of researching options for what that looks like. We want to make sure that we're in compliance with Amara's law, so we want to make sure we have plenty of time to do that research as we're moving through. And then we'll also be doing a flooring project. This will be at Hayes Elementary School. If you've been to Stevenson lately, last summer we did a big flooring project there. We're going to be doing a mirror project at Hayes. We'll be removing all the old floor materials. We'll be doing asbestos removal, new floor installation, and some painting touch-up. So we're really excited to start this project this summer. They'll have a lot going on there. Plus also both of the elementary schools, not in the contracts you're seeing tonight, but we'll also have major furniture, fixtures, and equipment upgrades and the schools. Any questions for me?
I do have one, if you could comment, that we talked about, Rochelle, when we're doing some of the roof replacement. And can you briefly describe the solar panel aspect of that, what we might see as far as savings there?
Right. So I did a lot of learning about solar panels when I came to Fridley. I actually made the company come out and explain to me what the project was and what it looked like and how it would show up on our energy bills. I then asked, once I started to understand, I asked them to do an audit of our energy bills, and we found out that at 2 of our sites, we weren't actually even getting any of the reimbursement. So we immediately got a check for $50,000 and then another one for $40,000. So solar panels does make a difference in our school. This project, when we replace roofing, what we'll do is we'll take down the solar panels. They'll be cleaned, there'll be any repairs that need to be taken, and then we'll reinstall them. So that will come at a cost, but we've budgeted for that, and I think that will help us recoup even more energy savings through our bills.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Rochelle?
Thank you.
No? Awesome. Thanks as always, Rochelle. Great work.
Nice job, Rochelle. Thank you. All right, same story, different day here. I'm going to go through our legislative agenda again, just so that we can continue having that out. So thanks, board members, as we air this each month. It's getting interesting with the forecast and so forth. You've been seeing those numbers come across. We're still going to talk about why we need the funds. I go back to what board member Meisner said to me a long time ago. He said, Dr. Lewis, is there anything in here that's special or great or things like that? And I said, no, we're just advocating for what we would lose rather than any gains. And that continues to be even more of a reality, I think, as the sessions continue to go on here. The first one, of course, that we talk about is compensatory revenue. As you've heard in all of our lobbying and our work, this continues to be a source of great concern for our district as well as other districts. This is about really 2 issues. Number one is fixing the formula. Right now, as superintendents and as a board, we're actually asking for the hold harmless to just be put into place, for them to do a work group to get the formula fixed, because there's not enough time to get the formula fixed by the end of the session. The second, and frankly just as pressing issue around compensatory revenue is the elimination of forms counting. So as a reminder, there's 2 different ways that our district generates compensatory revenue, and this is for students that are economically disadvantaged by legal definition. The first one is through direct certification. So our families that are on SNAP, Medicare, Medicaid, and other assistance programs, that's an auto qualifier, direct certification. We're at nearly 60% and rising on direct certification. The tricky part, why we're slated for $1 million reduction, is actually not about the formula. It's about the forms no longer being allowed to count. We have 10% of our population that does fill out those forms, so doesn't direct certify, but does qualify under the economically disadvantaged guidelines. We're asking for forms to be allowed. This is not taking additional dollars from different places for the fund. This is just to fund us for what we deserve under the current practices around compensatory revenue. And Where this whole direct certification piece came from was that back during COVID, families didn't have to fill out the forms, right? And so there was this rally cry, which was necessary about, compensatory revenue is based off of students that are economically disadvantaged. If they don't have to fill out the forms, then how are we going to do that count? So inlaid direct certification, great. Then there was a decision made by Minnesota Department of Education to say, we'll do direct cert, great, but we won't do forms. We need both. We need both because not everybody that qualifies under direct certification. So we're going to keep doing this. Compensatory revenue, as we continue down the session and things look more dire, this is a lightning rod right now in Minnesota. I just want to remind our board, compensatory revenue is for the complexities that we have in our school system around economic disadvantage. This is not the general fund pot, and I am not an advocate of spacing this out evenly among all districts in Minnesota. It was designed for economically disadvantaged, and it needs to stay there. The next piece I wanted to talk about is equalization. We've talked about our depressed tax base. We need to continue talking about that depressed tax base. There's two really good bills that have bipartisan support. Whether it'll make the final cut, I'm not sure, but we still need to talk about that. QComp, I advocate for that. $700,000 annually revenue that would sunset after next year. There's been some further lobbying by representatives that represent mostly districts that are not in QComp, saying let's take the QComp funding and use it to fully fund UI, unemployment insurance. We want unemployment insurance funded fully, but you can't keep moving the coconuts and expect us to do well. You can't take from one spot and move it to another and say, we fully funded unemployment. I am not in favor of reducing an already strapped school system. Literacy aid. There's no more money being allocated to literacy aid. However, there is a poverty index that comes into play. Fridley deserves our fair share of the pot when it comes to poverty index. This was a lightning rod at last Friday's SAF meeting, schools advocating for fair funding. And I promise you, the way out of this scarcity mindset in Minnesota public schools is not to pit one against the other. And we deserve this poverty index because of the complexities of our learners, and I am unapologetically advocating about that publicly and privately. Unemployment needs to be fully funded, $215,000. There's also a rally cry out there now about just do away with it. Well, this is how we keep paras. For school systems not like ours, so I'm going to advocate for others, when we have bus drivers, we don't employ bus drivers. This keeps districts healthy with a healthy workforce, to have people that don't really make a livable wage at least get unemployment insurance during the summer months. We need to keep it. It's a good mandate, but it needs to be fully funded. This expires after this year, our funding on this, and currently we cannot levy for it. And to make it even worse, I don't want us to levy for it because we're already a depressed tax base. Formula allowance. I don't know, team. We were supposed to be at 2.74% under that inflationary index. There's chatter about even taking that away. Would I love a 3%? Am I still asking us to advocate for that? Yes. I say we put our energy elsewhere, and I did just say that on camera. I think that one's dead in the water, but let's keep trying. Special education transportation. There's now this rally cry about, yes, we'll reduce you 5%, but then put it over in your cross subsidy because then you'll get 80% reimbursement on the 5% that we're taking back. Why are we doing this? And let's just tell the truth. that you're reducing our special ed reimbursement and you're adding to our already problematic cross subsidy. Just leave that alone. The rally cry around that is that districts are irresponsible when we negotiate transportation contracts because we say, hey, it's all special ed reimbursable, so we don't need to negotiate a good deal. Would you say that's the case in Fridley? Rochelle? No. We are working the best we can. Special ed cross subsidy, $2.5 million is what we pay in Rising. We need support in this. The federal government is supposed to pay 44%. By law, they pay 12%. Then we get, and this is the state amount here, the 2.5 million. I'm not even talking about federal. Then we get hit that it's not fully funded. Do we want the mandate? Of course we do. But please fully fund us. I believe I have some good news that I'm peeling off this school board elections one, because I think that's dead in the water, right?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Thank you for understanding that I'm real angry. And I'm happy to be angry because students' lives are at stake. The Willie Jett letter. I was very proud of our Commissioner Willie Jett. He basically said to the federal government, we're not doing this. Every student in every district in every zip code in Minnesota matters to us. You saw we were featured on the Care 11 story. We got some passion around that. Good passion from people that live in our district. Interesting passion from those that don't. Were we going to do this in May or say goodbye to her today? Yes, I was incorrect. So I accidentally previewed that we are excited to celebrate in May, saying goodbye. Sarah Jones, I've asked her, Treasurer Jones, if she would lead the student school board member search again like she did last year, and she's so excited. So I'm going to ask her to do that piece, and then she and I will work together on communication out to the board. You did an amazing job last year. Thank you for doing that. I want to pause here for school board updates. So I'll open it up here. Board Treasurer Jones, did you want to update on Northeast Metro?
I would love to, yes, thank you. So a couple things have happened in 916 Northeast Metro School District in this last month since we met last. One was that I got to go on school tours of Matamidi Academy and their Career and Tech program, both of which are housed at Century College. So Matamidi Academy is one of their 4 ALCs that they have in their program, and it was really fun to get to see what that looks like. They have newly moved to that program. It basically is across the street, but now it is in Century College. They have their own space in that location, and their students are able to work there. The model looks very different than a traditional classroom. The students are not there in the same way that they would be here, but it looked so much more like a cafe. The students walked in, there's tall tables, short tables, booths, like study, like different cubicles, and the students have all of their work that they're doing, and the teachers walk around and kind of work with each student, coach each student as they get to points, and then the students continue working. And so the teachers are jumping around to all of the students as they are there. So the schedule looks really different than it would for a traditional classroom. But one fantastic feature of having it located at Century College is the opportunity for the students to access the career and technical programming that they have, as well as the college classes that are there. So many students are dual enrolled or opting into their different career and tech programming choices that they're able to have a much easier time in making that transition to their higher education, whatever that is going to be. For them. So that has been a huge benefit of having them located in the same place, and is so exciting. After I got to see Matamidi Academy, then we had a tour of the career and tech programming, and we were there in between their sessions of students. So they have like a morning session of students and an afternoon, so we were there kind of during the lunchtime. So I didn't get to see a lot of students in action, but I got to meet a lot of the instructors and teachers and see a lot of the equipment that they're using. So we walked through the cosmetology program. They have a hair program and a nail program. Students can do 2 years in that program, and their hours all count towards their cosmetology license. They have a fantastic dental program where the students work on their dental assisting certificate, and then they move into Century College's dental hygienist program, and they have some specific spots reserved for 916 students, and that is one of the top programs in the state. They have an EMS program that we got to see, and they have like an ambulance simulator that we got to check out, and so the students are working in the ambulance, and they have like a bathroom set up, so the students are practicing like in a bathroom, because that is where a lot of the calls are too. They were saying like, we're sad that our new ambulance simulator doesn't move like like that was the one feature that it didn't have. So it was really exciting to see the students' spaces that they get to work there. They had a law enforcement simulator that a lot of law enforcement agencies even use to train. And then we got to see their welding program and the upgrade between different welding features to make sure that the students are prepared with the current technology that's being used and the new technology that is coming into the market. So the students were really well prepared in both of those features. So I had a great morning touring Matamidi Academy and Career and Tech. So that was one of the things that happened this past month, but then also we had a board meeting, and in our board meeting, we had the opportunity to see their makerspace, which most students in their district have the opportunity to use. They said on average about 4 times a year, and they gave the board the opportunity to try these little robots that are called Ozobots. And these do a lot of different things. You can program them to do a lot of things, but we got to program ours to move. We were trying to do a beach cleanup. So you can see, this is my team here. We had a beach, it had all of this trash all over it, and we had to code a path for the robot to go on. You give the robot a little start, and there's different directions that you code in there and hope that it will collect all of your litter for you. So we got to try that out, but they had a lot of different opportunities for students, 3D printing kits, robots, different breakout boxes, Legos. And they do use STEAM skills as they are working in their makerspace, which is a very logical fit, but they also were really focusing on their social emotional learning skills in this as well, letting the students practice risk-taking, building intrinsic motivation, imagination, self-direction. So lots of different skills that they're utilizing within this makerspace opportunity. And most of the students in the district use it multiple times a year. At the board meeting, we then celebrated the staff and retirements. We had 2 teachers who had been serving in the district for 25, one of them in 30 years, and we got to celebrate them and hear what had kept them at 916 for so long. We were celebrating years of service, and then the board approved their LTFM for the year, and I wanted to share just a little bit about that with our district, that 916 does not have physical property to levy their taxes on, so that is our responsibility. So their LTFM that was approved was for a total of $597,600. This is the responsibility of the 13 member districts. For Fridley, our share of that total amount is 2.6%, which will be $15,415.74. And the rate that we have, our 2.6%, is based off of 2 factors. It's divided up between the 13 districts. The formula that they use is based on our Fridley's net tax capacity, or the net tax capacity of each of the districts, and that makes 25% of the formula, and then the adjusted pupil unit, the APU, makes up the other 75% of that formula. So those 2 factors go into play in weighting how much each district contributes to that percentage. We approved policies, the drug-free workplace policy, the Title IX sex non-discrimination policy and grievance procedures, the curriculum development policy, and the crisis management policy. We reviewed insurance policies and approved workers' comp, liability insurance, cyber liability insurance, and property insurance. And one thing that I really appreciate about having the opportunity to serve on 916 is seeing the great questions and the conversation that happens within the board members, and just building that board network and learning from each of those different board members how this work is really done.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah.
Of course.
Northwest Suburban and AMSD, if either of you want to update on that, Clerk Stark and Board Chair Carnop.
Go ahead.
It was my first meeting, so I was getting my feet wet. And the big thing that we went over was looking at the 2025-2026 budget and confirming the meeting schedule. So I'm learning the ropes. That's all I've got.
That's more than I have, because I was unable to attend the AMSD board meeting.
That information did go out in the soups update.
Good.
So,
Thanks. Yeah.
yeah. Next up, we have fun upcoming events. I just want to point out that Lori made this one pager, so I think it's really cute. So mark your calendars. May 14th, our FHS Scholastic Awards, 6 p.m. dinner, 7 p.m. awards. May 21st, you've been getting invites on this. This is the Avid Superintendent visit, 4 p.m. presentation, 5:30 meet and greet. So I was invited, I had shared, I think at an earlier board meeting, I was invited to be part of this very tiny group of experienced superintendents within Avid. And so it's a very small group, and the superintendent in residence, which I believe is a new position for Avid, he leads this work. So at NatCon, right? Yeah, at NatCon National Conference, we were chatting, and I said, I need you to come to my district. So he's coming, and he's coming for 2 days. So we're absolutely excited about that. As you know, we've had some really good opportunities with Avid where they're personalizing to Fridley. So I invite all of you to come, and I think you'll really enjoy the time with him. May 27th is our ALC graduation, and that's in our district auditorium at 5:30. Then we have our FHS commencement on May 29th at Roy Wilkins Auditorium at 6 p.m. And I know our team, including Lori, was part of a walkthrough and provisioning today. So really exciting. It's right around the corner. Next up, I wanted to share with you some thinking that I have around what has been going on. And this is actually grounded in an incident that happened last Tuesday, not in our district, so a week ago. On Tuesday, April 8th, 2025, at the 2025 Border Security Expo held in Phoenix, Arizona, Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons stated, "We need to get better at treating this like a business." He continued by saying he wanted deportations to be like Amazon Prime, but with human beings. His quote dehumanizes children, families, and human beings. It erases the lived experience of many of our students, our staff, and frankly, my husband and my own children. It reminds us, in the starkest of terms, of the moment we are in. At this moment, we must stand up for our students. We must be unflinching in our resolve, because what we are witnessing is not just an attack on individual rights, it is a coordinated fight to dismantle public education as we all know it. Even here in Minnesota, we see the partisan politics increasingly influencing budget decisions that once centered on our children's needs. This partisanship is not abstract. I'm going to read that again. This partisanship is not abstract. It affects whether a child gets reading support. It affects whether a teacher has classroom resources. It affects whether schools like ours, nearly 70% of our students live in poverty as reported. We know this is much higher. And nearly 80% of our students are students of color. It affects whether we are fully funded, supported, and respected. I'm going to center on that word respected. Fridley Public Schools sits at the intersection of some of the most pressing and complex issues facing education today, and we choose to lead. We do so knowing that this work is not popular. It comes with resistance. It comes with scrutiny. But we do it because the literal trajectory of our students' lives are at stake at the hands of decisions made in this very room. Let me be clear. The federal government is sending a loud message that it does not see or value our students, but we do, and we always will. Public education is not for some, it is for all. And in Minnesota, we are fortunate to have one of the most robust school choice environments in this country. Fridley is proud to be part of the Northwest Suburban Integration District, where families choose us because of our commitment to equity, excellence, and belonging. We are living proof that districts like ours can and must thrive. Even in the face of this chaos and deliberate hatred, we are making extraordinary gains. We are seeing measurable improvements in academic achievement. We are seeing unprecedented reductions in behaviors. Our staff are doing remarkable, trajectory-changing work, and it is our responsibility to shield them from the political hatred being directed at our profession in public education. I truly wish to thank all of you for continuing to stay committed to this work. This board has demonstrated unwavering support of our students. I know the road ahead will get uglier. There will be louder voices trying to distract and divide, but we must remain centered in the brilliance and potential of our students while also empowering our staff to continue serving our students in phenomenal ways. We must continue to fight, not because it is easy, but because it is just. As a public school district, we are both honored and entrusted with the profound responsibility to unapologetically serve every single student who walks through our doors. Education is a civil right, and in Fridley Public Schools, we will not forget who we're fighting for. In my 25 years in education, I have never witnessed this level of hostility directed at public ed. Yet, even in the face of it, I consider it a profound honor to serve alongside each and every one of you. We will be known as the district that remains steadfast in doing the right work, especially when it was not easy or popular. Chair, I'm going to turn it over to you at some point here. I also have Vice Chair on a statement to read, but I'll let other board members weigh in at your discretion.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Lewis. Anyone want to weigh in? Sure. Go ahead. Ms. Jones.
Thank you. Dr. Lewis, I thank you greatly for standing for the individuals in Fridley Public Schools and for public education for all students. I greatly appreciate the attention that you are bringing to these realities that our Fridley Public Schools community faces. In my role as a board member, I am here to value every individual in Fridley Schools community, our wonderfully diverse students, families, staff, and taxpayers. My work will look like seeing each and every individual is safe within our schools, because every one of our people is valuable and valued. And second, my work will look like ensuring that Fridley students have the highest quality education from well-trained and caring staff. The skills, knowledge, belonging, and opportunities that are afforded to our students determine their future life trajectories. This work is our collective responsibility. It is our responsibility to our community and to the future. As the political landscape changes around us, our school system will continue to serve every one of our students, no matter how they came to us or who they are. I do not take this responsibility lightly. As a board member, I will work alongside you for thriving schools that are funded, supported, and respected, so that our students can learn and so that our staff can teach and care.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Chair Connott.
Ms. Stark.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis, for your strong statement. And as I near the end of my second term, I had previously decided that I wasn't going to run again. Not because I don't love to serve my community, but because I wanted to be more present for my kids. But with the election of an anti-education and frankly anti-democratic administration, I realized that continuing on the school board is the best way that I can show my kids how much I love them and how dedicated I am to giving them a strong and supportive community. We are strong in Fridley because of our diversity and differences. We are strong in Fridley because of our commitment to our students, our staff, and our teachers. And now the call is coming from inside the house. This current administration has inspired Moms for Liberty and anti-public school individuals to run for the trusted office of school board. They don't believe in public schools. They want to run and infiltrate the school board so they can dismantle our schools. They don't know what we know. We know that this community cares. We know that our neighbors will fight to protect each other. We will protect libraries, books, and the ability to teach factual history. We will protect our neighbors and our friends who worship differently than we do. We value those who were born in different countries and have different lived experiences. We embrace those who are learning to endure Minnesota winters, and we will not leave them out in the cold. This is a pivotal moment, not just for Fridley, not just for Minnesota, but for the entire country and the entire world. If we are going to go down, by God, I will go down swinging. I'm here to say not on my watch, and I know my colleagues feel the same. I and we will not allow teachers and staff to be targeted for accepting students for who they are and using their chosen pronouns. I will not allow students to be othered and targeted for being their authentic selves. I will not allow my neighbors to be afraid for themselves or their kids when they send them off to school each morning. This is the moment that defines who we are. We will stand up to bullies, we will be brave, and we will do the hard, scary things. And I think we, won't be remembered as someone who stood by when our freedoms and our children's futures were threatened. This board has overseen an improvement in test scores, the implementation of much-needed facilities improvement, an increase in Fridley pride, an increase in lobbying at the legislature for needed funds, which is no easy thing to do, trust me, and of course the hiring of Dr. Lewis, who made this all possible. We show up and we do what needs to be done, and I am honored to be a part of this wonderful group of people. So thank you, Dr. Lewis and the entire team, for leading this charge and setting an example that I hope the entire state is inspired by.
Well said, Ms. Stark.
Thank you.
Dr. Lewis, I think you're going to read Ms. Anna's statement. I don't have a prepared statement, but I would obviously echo my colleagues' sentiments and yours as well, Dr. Lewis. And from my perspective as the chair of this board, I am simply honored and humbled to stand shoulder to shoulder with all of you with this. This is pretty simple, right? This shouldn't be an overly complex issue. We all got into this for one particular reason, and it was to educate and support our children. And it's as simple as that, and I think we will continue to do that, and we have a great team to do it. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Lewis. Or Ross, Mr. Meisner, would you have a comment?
Yeah, just briefly, because I think it's important for everyone to recognize that we are here in solidarity with you. Fridley has long been a diverse community. Fridley schools have long been committed to teaching every child and giving every child what they need to be as successful as they can be. My colleagues said it very eloquently. You said it very eloquently, Dr. Lewis. We are all here proud to be with you as we serve all of our children.
I appreciate that very, very much. I am going to read Vice Chair Anna's statement here, and then I will make one final closing comment. That's my own voice. As many of you know, I'm a proud parent to 3 wonderful kids who attend Fridley Public Schools, and I also have the joy of working as a paraeducator at Stevenson Elementary. Being a paraeducator gives me a front row seat to how schools operate day to day. I'm seeing what works, what doesn't, and what students and teachers actually need in real time. That kind of insight is incredibly valuable, especially if you're thinking about influencing policy, becoming a teacher, or just advocating for a better system. Public schools are the cornerstone of democracy and community. School board members should be advocates for strengthening public education, not dismantling it. We need leaders who are committed to equitable funding, support for teachers, and policies that put students first, not political agendas. This community is strong and growing stronger every day, thanks to our amazing administration and the outstanding leadership of Dr. Lewis. As you saw in the CARE 11 piece, I stated, and it was clipped to be at the end, which is phenomenal placement of that, but it wasn't what I actually said last. It said that despite what's going on, I'm very thankful to be in Minnesota. That was the day that the next day that Commissioner Jett's letter was released, and I shared because of the work that he brings to education. And I also stated that, unlike some superintendents, I am given the absolute privilege and responsibility to lead the way that I can lead because of what just happened here. We're all united. We all have this. It's a tough road ahead for all of us here, but we can do it since our divisions around education funding and dismantling and our students, every one of you sees our students every single day and values our students. So we're not infighting as board members or as superintendent board team. And that's what is the marked point here, is that we can all say, not here in Fridley Public Schools. And I can also have projected up a graphic that, while true, can be offensive to some, but we need to lean in to what this graphic is actually saying. I will close by saying Rochelle has been working very hard to get Wilson Law Group, who works directly with families in an anonymous way, to have information sessions for our families so they can join virtually, anonymously into these sessions as a source to getting some help, some really good guidance and trustworthy guidance by licensed immigration attorneys in the state of Minnesota. Also, you saw yesterday that I re-elevated our ICE protocols, and then you saw that very deep partnership that I will elevate again with Fridley Police Department. So you saw their statement on immigration and how they also partner with us in pieces surrounding ICE. I will state there has not been any ICE enforcement, ICE agents in any Fridley Public Schools. Also, I do not know of any school districts in Minnesota where that has happened. However, I can understand as we're seeing these things, statements are made, the background with my husband. This is terrifying times for our families, yet our families are trusting the schools and they're bringing our kids to school. So with that, I think amidst all of this hatred and chaos, we are still a safe learning establishment that our families trust. That's the end of my report, Chair.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis, as always. All right, we've got several business action items that we can, I think, get through pretty quickly here. I would entertain a motion first to approve the transportation contract for first student transportation for 2025 through 2028. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Meisner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Stark. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Next up, again, transportation contract for collaborative student transportation from 2025 through 2028. I would entertain a motion to approve the contract.
So moved.
Motion made by Meisner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jones. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Another transportation contract for Halo Transportation, again, years 2025 through 2028. I would entertain a motion to approve this contract.
So moved.
Motion by Meisner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Stark. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next up, we have a service agreement from Inbuilt Professionals for the Hayes Flooring Project. I would entertain a motion to approve this contract.
So moved.
I'm sensing a pattern here. Motion made by Meisner. Do I have a second?
Second.
The pattern is there. Second by Jones. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. We have another professional services agreement for Inbuilt for the referendum 2025 through 2026 construction. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Meisner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Stark. All those in
Now
favor.
it's just a game.
Now it's just a game, right? Who's going to break the streak? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. We also have a motion, or I would entertain a motion for the award and to accept the bid from Apadana LLC for the Fridley High School restroom remodel. Chair to entertain a motion. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Meisner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jones. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Last up on the business agenda portion of this, the chair would entertain a motion to accept some gifts and send our gratitude. We have 2 gifts, both given to Hayes Elementary, one from the Topanaki Grill in the amount of $100 and Gardens of Rice Creek also in the amount of $100. Do I have a motion to accept and extend our gratitude for these gifts?
So moved.
Oh, we broke the streak. Motion made by Jones. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Meisner. This is a roll call vote. Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Carnop? Aye. Mr. Meisner?
Aye.
Ms. Stark?
Aye.
Motion passes. Last up, we have the chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes minutes from the last business meeting, new contracts, amendments, lane changes, leaves of absence, resignations and terminations, also the monthly financial reports, including the adult basic education lease and the school board meeting calendar for 2025 through 2026. Chair would entertain a motion to approve. Motion made by Stark. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jones. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. We have some important dates.
Quite a few.
Thanks, Lori. Okay, we have no school coming up here on April 18th, this Friday, I believe, right? We have our PTO meeting at Stevenson on April 23rd at 3 o'clock at Stevenson Elementary. We have Stevenson Festival of Nations, which is a great event, April 24th from 5:30 to 7:15 at obviously Stevenson Elementary. The Fridley High School Spring Play is A Murder is Announced on April 24th, 25th, 26th, 7 o'clock at the District Auditorium. We have our high school conferences on April 30th from 4 to 7:30 at the Fridley High School. And we have our Future Kindergarten Social on May 1st from 4:30 to 5 at Locke County Park. Hayes second grade Glee Club concert will be at the District Auditorium on May 1st at 6 o'clock. We have our free family movie night where we will be showing Wallace and Gromit, The Vengeance Most Foul on May 2nd, 7 o'clock at the District Auditorium. Our Fridley High School Junior and Senior Prom Grand March will be at the District Auditorium on May 3rd at 4 o'clock. We have our next school board work session here at the Community Center on May 6th at 5:30. Our 6th grade knowledge fair at the Fridley Middle School will be on May 7th from 4:30 to 6. We have another PTO meeting at Stevenson on May 7th at 5 o'clock. We also have, on the same night it looks like, both Hayes and Stevenson will have their carnival nights on May 8th at 5 o'clock. These are both great events. I would encourage you to volunteer and show up and check out the festivities. On May 13th, we have the Fridley Middle School Band Concert Night. 6th grade band and choir will perform at 6 o'clock. The 7th grade band and the 7th and 8th grade choir at 7, and 8th grade band and jazz band at 8 o'clock. I'm assuming that would be at the District Auditorium. Our Fridley High School Scholastic Banquet will be at the Fridley High School Cafeteria and District Auditorium on May 14th at 6 o'clock. Next up, we have our incoming 5th grade orientation on May 15th at 4:30 at the Fridley Middle School. And last but not least, I believe, last but not least, we have Fridley Public Schools Board meeting here at the Community Center, 5:30 work session, 7 o'clock public comment, and 7:30 at the business. We have the business meeting here at the Fridley Community Center. With that, I would entertain, do we have one other?
Did we do that?
The Halo contract extension? Yeah,
did
yep,
that? Okay.
yep, that was in there. Thanks, Vonna. Any other dates that we may have missed? I can't see how we could have possibly missed any. But with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
A motion by Meisner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Stark. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. And we are adjourned at 8:48.
Board members, I'm working on